We got to Benoit, and then we took a Jeep over to our unit. Somebody said, "You a new pilot?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "That bunk's empty down there." I said, "Okay," so I moved in that. And my co-pilot a lot of the time was a fellow named Bill Hatunian. He was from Arizona. And we took an R&R together, and we became best friends and pulled each other out of a lot of tight places.
When you got to Vietnam, how many flight hours did you have? Do you remember?
212, I think.
Okay. And what was the standard? Was that normal for someone on your level?
Yeah, it's a minimum amount.
Oh, the minimum
That
amount.
got you out of flight school.
Yes.
You really learned to fly once you got to Vietnam. It was nothing like stateside flying.
Oh.
The weather was hot, the density altitude was so high that a lot of times the aircraft wouldn't take off. They were so weak. So you bring it up to a hover, and the crew chief and the gunner would sit out there and throw ammunition on board until it went down. It's okay. So they'd pull off a couple of strands of machine gun, and they'd go up a hover about that high, and they said, "All right, here we go." And they would run down the runway, and you're sitting on a cushion of air. But as you go forward and translate in the forward flight, it goes down until you translate forward flight. So right before it translated, it would hit the ground. They held onto a canvas strap, and they would step onto the skid and roll into the ship. And that's how we got the damn things off the ground.
Wow.
As opposed to the Cobra, which would, hell, it would go straight up to a 1,500-foot hover just like that. Good ship, good ship.
What was the first mission you did?
The first mission I did was an insertion of an infantry squad, and when we hit the LZ, the landing zone was hot, and hell, my windshield started disappearing, and the windows on the side were down, but they started disappearing, and we finally got everybody out, and I said, "What's the chances of flying gunships?" I said, "This is stupid, just sitting here letting them shoot you." He says, "Okay, but everybody knows gunships are crazy." And I says, I've heard that. I don't care. I want something to shoot back." So I changed over to guns.
And that was after your first mission you transferred over to guns?
After the first mission, yeah, I said, I'm going to fly guns.
Do you remember where you inserted?
Huh?
Do you remember where you were inserting those troops?
Somewhere close to Phu Loy.
Phu Loy, okay.
Which was our base.
And was it near a village? Was it close to a village?
No, you usually want to stay away from them because they would shoot at you.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 1967. Hell, that's before you were born.
Yeah, a good bit.
Now, sometimes you still have dreams about it, and you can remember frequencies, where you were going, who you were working for. You can remember everything, and then you wake up and you don't remember anything, which is probably a good deal.
Yeah.
But we worked for the Lerps a lot, especially with the gunships. And this one mission where we picked the Lerps up on the skids, picked them up and took them down. And when we got them up, my co-pilot turned around and they sit in front in the Cobra, below you and in front, so you have to talk to them on the intercom. And he said, "Well, we got them out, I think." And I said, "Look out your right window and see what you see." And he said, "There's two guys sitting on the skid watching me through the window." And I said, "What do you see on the other side?" And he said, "I can't see because my seat and your instrument panel is, I said, I can't see, but I see the rocket pods are two muddy butts on them, so there's two guys over here. And I said, okay. He said, sir, what are we gonna do with them? I said, oh, Jesus, man, there's something I forgot. I don't know. We can't take them home. They're wet. They would freeze to death, or they would cramp and fall off. I said, where do you want to take them? He said, let's take them down to the water plant. It's just about 3 minutes down the river. We flew in, landed, and they got off, and they all ran out in front of the ship to the fence, and all four of them lined up, meaning, thank you, we're okay.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. So I started to lift off, and I called the people down there. It was Alpha Troop. One of our troops was guarding the water plant. And I said, I just dropped 4 alerts inside the fence, southeast corner. Do not shoot them. They're scruffy looking, but they're on our side. And he said, yeah, we've been monitoring your radio for the last hour, so we'll take care of them. We got them offloaded and made it back, just barely. And the co-pilot filled it up with fuel, and I said, how much fuel did you have left? And he said, about 4 gallons. And I said, damn, what? How far will that get you? And he said, it won't, it'll start it twice, but it won't fly. He said, I said, well, we cut it pretty close. So he repositioned the ship, and I made sure everybody else got refueled and rearmed, and then I went back up. And the crew chief was inside the tail boom with a flashlight shining. There was just all kinds of light beams coming out of the tail boom. We'd taken 16 hits on that liftoff.
Wow.
And he said, sir, you care if we change the name of this ship? And I said, well, hell, Chief, I don't care. It's your ship. You just let me fly it every once in a while. And he said, much to my dismay. And I said, what do you want to change it to? And he said, how about the cheese grater? And I said, I don't care. He said, did this damn thing whistle when you came home? And I said, no, I don't know. I was too busy trying to figure out how to make a 22-minute flight on 20 minutes worth of fuel and get back. And he said, well, you made it. I said, I know, but I'm not going to cut one that close again. I don't think he ever changed the name to the cheese grater.
I like the name cheese grater.
Well, shit. And then he asked me if it whistled when I brought it home. I don't know. I didn't hear it. But the Cobra is a fantastic aircraft. Fantastic aircraft.
I'm guessing it's your favorite you've ever flown.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It takes some getting used to, and it's got a whole bunch of horns and bells and whistles that the regular Huey doesn't have. But it'll still cruise about 240 miles an hour. And it's real skinny. It's only 36 inches wide. You wore a shoulder holster because the seat wasn't wide enough to put a 45 on the belt and get your skinny ass in the seat.
Yeah.
And then there were 2 little strips down the side with circuit breakers and stuff like that on. And there wasn't any room to spare, but you look up and the only thing you see was a rotor blade, and it looked like the body was about that wide. And the Vietnamese called it the skinny one. And they had I don't remember the phrase in Vietnamese, but they said, don't shoot the skinny one. Don't shoot the skinny one. Because as soon as we figure out we're getting hit. We just stand that thing up on its tail, come over the top, put this over on salvo, and it'll punch out 38 rockets at a tenth of a second interval.
Wow.
It'll make a hole in the ground about half the size of a swimming pool.